Arguments from analogy. So, pakiayos na lang to. What is analogy? Analogy is a comparison that asserts similarities between two different things. And analogy is useful to explain concept or idea. When we are arguing from analogy, we should look for the likeliness and similarity between two things. An example, we got this from the MIT, and they usually use this for student admission. So when you are taking the MIT, you are looking for the similarities. And the bridging type here is function. Microwave is used to heat. Now what in the choices have the function? A, refrigerator. Refrigerator is used to cool. Freezer is used to cook. Sink is used to organize. Fireplace is used to destroy. So the most plausible answer here is letter A, because freezer cool things. Oh no, refrigerator cool things. Second question is, shovel's function is to dig. Now the choices is A baby is used to cry. B, cloud is used to rain. Fork is used to eat. That's more plausible. D, car is used to stop. So the answer here is C. C. Now this next question has the bridging type of characteristic. Now, athlete. Athlete is fit. The choices are A, chef is fat. No, that's just stereotyping. B, dog is energetic. Well, not always. C, priest religious. Well, that's plausible. D, dancer intelligent. The most plausible answer here is C, because priest requires to be a religious person before he could even become a priest. Now this is when it becomes ambiguous, because the bridging type is not indicated, and we are going to try to guess what is the bridging type according to the first example that was given. Fear is to threat. So what we are making out of this is fear, at least what I assume, fear is caused by threat. So we are looking for the cause of anger. Anger is caused by compulsion or panic, provocation or force. The most plausible answer here is provocation, because when you are provoked, you are more likely to get angry. When you're panicked, you will likely to be fear. you will likely to be in fear. And when you're compulsive, you are likely to get excited. I don't know what force is, so let's go with provocation. Next is forecast. Forecast means predict. What do you predict? You predict something in the future. So we are trying to get, what we have make out of this is, forecast means predict, and we are trying to predict the future. Ano nang weird yan? So regret, this is ambiguous because you might say sin, regret, sin, but we are regretting something. What do you regret? It's something in the past. Oh, yun nga pala. You forecast, you predict something in the future. You regret what? Something in the past, not sin, because you regret something from the sin is wrong. You regret something from the present is not plausible. You regret something from atone. So C is the most plausible answer. Next slide. Yes, this is a crucial part in analyzing an statement of analogy, or an argument of analogy, I mean. The primary analog and the secondary analog. Primary analog means the entity that serves as the basis of comparison. Secondary entity being argued. Ay, dapat pala dito sa una. Lilipat ko ah. What is analogy? This is, so before that, it is important to know what primary analog and secondary analog is. Yan, this is our primary analog, the basis of our argument. So how do we use this in an actual argument? To argue by analogy is to argue that because two things are similar, that is true of one is also true of the other. This is the basic structure of an argument by analogy. X and Y have attributes A, B, and C. X has additional attribute B. Considering what X and Y have already had in common, therefore Y probably has the attribute D. Another example is Denise are sisters. Cheryl and Denise are sisters, are about the same age, go to the same school, and like the same TV programs. Cheryl liked the movie The Chronicles of Narnia. Therefore, Denise will probably like The Chronicles of Narnia as well. So the assumption or the conclusion that we are trying to draw here is, the conclusion that we are trying to draw here is Denise will probably like The Chronicles of Narnia. She is our secondary analog, wherein our primary analog is Cheryl because she is the basis of our argument. Now suppose we add the both like the fantasy genre. This additional factor would strengthen the argument because it is relevant, because the Chronicles of Narnia is a fantasy. Oh shit. It's a fantasy. Chronicles of Narnia is under the fantasy genre. Is what I mean to say. Suppose we add they both have freckles. Would that do something to the argument? Well, no, because they don't have. It is not relevant. Now suppose we add the additional factor. Denise usually doesn't like it when movies are made from books. This in turn would weaken the argument because we added a relevant analogy between the primary and secondary analogs. That's a notable thing to understand. Now this is one of the famous arguments that have been there. It's William Paley's watchmaker argument. Premise 1 is a watch has an intricate mechanical design and produces an intelligent outcome, which means it requires a watchmaker. Premise 2, the universe has an intricate mechanical design and produces an intelligent outcome. Therefore pala dapat ito. Intelligent outcome requires. Therefore, it requires. Therefore, it requires a watchmaker. The universe has an intricate mechanical design and produces an intricate outcome. We can conclusion, there's a universe maker or a god. But our primary analog is the watch. Secondary analog is the universe. But this cannot be proven because our secondary analog is unknown. I don't know what to say. These are more examples that we think is a strong argument. Opponents of gay marriage tell us that it flies in the face of a tradition going back millennia that marriage is between a man and woman. There are lots of tradition that lasted a long time. The tradition that it was okay for some people to own other people as slaves. The tradition that women couldn't practice in electoral process. That the list goes on. That it's tradition. Oh, the list goes on. That's it. Tradition doesn't make it right. Tradition doesn't justify anything. Okay. Religion doesn't justify anything. Religion cannot justify anything. So the claim here is we are trying to discredit tradition to support our argument that gay marriage is. They should legalize gay marriage because it does not morally morally attack anyone like the tradition that was mentioned below. Fuck me. That religion cannot justify anything. Some people claim that their children should be exempted from getting vaccinated from common diseases because practice conflicts with their religious belief. But religion can't be justify just anything. If a Satanist tried to defend himself against a charge of abusing children by claiming that such practices were a form of religious expression, would we let him get away with it? Obviously, no. So, the primary analog here is the primary analog here is the Satanist defending himself. We are using that as a to conclude. We are using that to claim that children should not be exempted from getting vaccinated because of their beliefs. Because religion doesn't justify anything. That's it. Fallacy or faulty analogy. This fallacy, well, you could just read it, and it is obvious that this type of analogy uses the similar factors to support its claim. An example is if one were to listen to only one kind of music or eat only one kind of food, it would soon become tasteless or boring. Variety makes eating and listening exciting and enriching experience. So it seems to me that an exclusive sexual relationship with only one partner for the rest of your life, that is, marriage, does not hold out much hope for a very much excitement or enrichment. Yes, so he just compared food to marriage, which is wrong. Shit, hindi ko alam dito. We are using as a primary analog. The claim used the primary analog. The claim used eating and listening to music. Eating and listening to music as a primary analog. And the secondary analog the thing that he is trying to argue here is that marriage is not very much exciting or enriching. So that's it. Pwede natin gawin ito ng ano.